This is 93 Million with Doug Andrew. Welcome to 93 Million with Doug Andrew, where we talk about how to optimize your assets, minimize taxes, and empower the three dimensions of your authentic wealth. My name is Greg Dukowitz, your host, facilitator, and IUL specialist. And in today's show, we're talking about the future tax law changes, how much you pay in tax over your life, and what does an improperly structured policy look like. And we're joined by New York Times bestselling author of the L.A.S.E.R Fund, and creator of the three dimensions of authentic wealth, Doug Andrew.
Great to be here as always. Thank you.
Good to have you. Co-author of the L.A.S.E.R Fund and a man who's a bit of a mad scientist when it comes to IUL, Erin Andrew.
Oh, this is going to be fun today. I'm ready.
Yeah, good to have you. Also co-author of the L.A.S.E.R Fund, the human calculator, and a man who loves healthy eating and exercise, Erin Andrew.
I do. Happy to be here.
Just exercise or extra fries?
I never understand. That's what I hear. So, Erin Andrew, welcome. And our featured host for today, the president of L.A.S.E.R Financial, IUL specialist, and the tallest man in this room, but the shortest man in his family, Brandon Johnson.
Glad to be here.
Good to have you, Brandon.
I'm sure your twin loves that. He loves hearing that. Does he remind you of that all the time?
He always tells people he's Arnold Schwarzenegger and I'm Danny DeVito.
It's hard to believe.
He's 6'10", I'm 6'3". Not that that's short, but next to your twin.
Next to your twin,
Next to
who's
your
a former NBA player, right? Okay. All right. Well, we have some really intriguing topics I'm excited to get to, so let's just jump right in. Could the current law change regarding tax advantages? Since the beginning of the tax code in 1913, life insurance has enjoyed some of the strongest tax advantages that exist, including tax-deferred growth, as well as tax-free income via 7702 guidelines. But could that change? Well, I asked ChatGPT, and it likely won't, citing no recent legislative proposals to change the tax advantage status. In fact, it seems quite the opposite. In late 2020, the good old days of COVID, right? Congress passed a law that actually strengthened life insurance. According to AM Best, that law bolstered the position of cash value in life insurance, stating that the tax law would, quote, allow life insurance policy holders to squirrel away more cash at lower death benefits, effectively transforming policies into retirement vehicles in addition to or instead of protection. Okay, those are pretty strong words coming from one of the largest rating agencies. Doug, do you think Congress is going to change the tax advantages or, remove the tax advantages of life insurance going forward, and why or why not?
Well, based upon that, I don't think so, because they're moving the other direction. I don't think they would change the tax laws that would adversely affect money that people have been socking away under a tax-favored basis for years. In fact, I've been around for over 5 decades studying the tax law. And ever since the beginning of the code, money accumulates tax-free inside permanent life insurance under Section 72E. You can access that money income tax-free even before age 59 and a half under Section 7702 if you do it the smart way. And when you ultimately die, it transfers income tax-free and often blossoms, increases in value. Nothing else does that in the Internal Revenue Code. Back in 1990, I remember Congress was hard up for tax revenue. And so there was a lot of congressional revenuers. They're called politicians, okay? And they were appealing to the various agencies in government, the Senate Finance Committee, the House Ways and Means Committee, and also I think the General Accountability Office, 3 major agencies. And they did a huge research report. How much could the federal government bring in new tax revenue if they taxed the inside buildup, cash value, of permanent life insurance? This would be whole life. This would be universal life and so forth.
Wow.
And it was amazing. We were all waiting for their report.
Yeah.
And I still have a copy. It has a blue cover on it. And it came out with this official report. And basically, in a nutshell, it said, actually, we checked this out. And in the long run, and usually Congress is myopic, okay? Very short-sighted, okay? They're only looking at how much revenue could we get this year, right?
Right.
But they looked at the bigger picture and they said, this would actually cost us more than it would make us.
Wow.
Because if we tax people who are trying to be responsible and accountable, accumulating money in these, whether they live a long time and they need it for retirement income, or they die sooner than later, and now that we're creating dependent widows and orphans and so forth. And so their study said this would actually cost us more in the long run.
Wow.
Leave it tax-free. It was amazing. They had the foresight to see that. But it was interesting because they said if we ever do pass it, we would recommend that you grandfather people who already have these. So if we tax future policies, grandfather people who already have insurance policies that have been accumulating money tax-free and the continued money they're going to pay into it. That's provided under what is called the ex post facto provision of the Constitution of the United States, which basically says Congress is not supposed to pass new tax law that adversely affects something you did or established under previous tax law. I can't guarantee that, but the precedent's been set. And also, it was sort of interesting. There were a few politicians out there, congressional revenuers, that owned these, and they didn't want to shoot themselves in the foot, I surmise.
Yeah, I would guess that that's probably the case, right? We don't know exactly what the holdings of Paul, but we did a whole segment on Paul Atkins, who owned 54 universal life policies. It was like,
And what does he head up?
He's the head of the SEC. Yeah. Securities. All right, Emran, speaking of the tax law that was passed in 2020 and went into effect in January of 2021, what exactly did that tax law do?
Well, first of all, I got to congratulate Doug once again on his usage of the word myopic.
That was very well done, Doug.
Every time that word comes up, now we have to recognize.
It's like the secret word of the day. We got to sneak into every podcast.
Yeah, what this law it did for the policyholder. I mean, it was really focused on making it a better cash buildup vehicle, better asset for cash buildup for the policyholder. I mean, in other words, it basically reduced your expenses and fees by about 33%, right? So if I was going to put in money into a policy, if it is about a 33% reduction, I was going to put in X dollars into a policy.
Right.
And it was going to require me to buy under TEFRA and DEFRA. The minimum death benefit to accommodate that amount of money, let's say, is going to be $1.5 million.
Yeah, in other words, for it to be a life insurance policy, you have to have a certain amount of death benefit.
So that my money's tax-free, grows tax-free, I can access it tax-free, right? We want to take advantage of the sections of the code Doug was talking about. It's got to qualify as a life insurance policy. Well, it meets that definition. Now, with this new adjustment, it can still meet that same definition, but now I only need, if it's 33% less, I can get away with $1 million life insurance policy for the same money going in. No, obviously, if I get rid of that I'm not paying for that extra $500,000. I always tell people, if you really want to, if you're going to use an IUL to max fund to really also build up the cash value of it, you want to own the death benefit, not pay for the death benefit. So again, all it did is allow us to get away with paying less. We reduced. I mean, man, if I could reduce my mortgage by 33% by the government just changing a simple little law. Amen. And that's exactly what happened. It reduced the fees and expenses on the policies by 33%, pretty much across the board.
Yeah.
Some people may be closer to 20, 25%, maybe some people up about 40%, but an average about 33% reduction.
Think about that in just real estate. Like if somebody was saying, hey, you could buy this building now 1 month later for a third less.
Right? That's a really good analogy.
Right? Same. I mean, a building that would have cost you before a third.
Because life insurance is an asset class, right?
Exactly, yeah. So I think it's I mean, it's almost like the consumers were the ones that got in that bill and were like, we're going to make this better for us, right? We're going to make it better for the consumers. It's way better for them.
And that law changed January 1st of 2021.
Yeah.
It came out with the COVID bill December 28th or something of 2020.
Like the 11th hour.
And it was thrown into page 4,900 and something.
Exactly. It even surprised insurance companies in January of 2021.
Yeah. It's just all these articles came out the first 2 weeks of January when that law came. Because it's those huge bills.
And that was
everything's
one of them.
there.
What we just read was one of them, right?
Yeah, and it's like all this change, and all the insurance companies are scrambling. Like, how are we going to adjust this? By the way, our L.A.S.E.R fund book, if you want to hold it up, Dad, here for a second. The L.A.S.E.R fund book, in chapter 7, we talk a lot about these tax codes, and that's on page 90, talking about this law that changed that Emron just went over. That's on page 90 of the book, on section 1 there.
So, sorry. What were you going to say?
I was just going to mention, if you used to have, let's say, $1.5 million death benefit to accommodate $500,000 for a 60-year-old, let's say, under the old law. It would take sometimes into the 15th year before the cash value in a maximum funded IUL to grow to equal the premiums you paid in. Now I can achieve that, or to equal the death benefit.
Yeah, the death benefit.
To equal
Yeah,
the
I was
death
going to
benefit,
say
not
the
the
equal the
premium.
premiums. I was like, no, it's going to happen like in 5, 6 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Who wrote that book?
Yeah, right. Freudian slip, okay? For the actual cash value to grow to equal the death benefit. Might be 15 years. Right. Now, we have people where the cash value grows to equal the death benefit in the 10th year because it's 1/3 less time.
It's less
to do
net
which
revenue.
creates the internal rate of return better, and you can take out income in retirement. It's just so wonderful.
Looking at the numbers, the cost is so much cheaper now. This is the best time to get an IUL because of these law changes. It's like, I mean, even when they had policies before those dates, they're still awesome.
Yeah.
But right now, that law changed, and, are they going to change the law in the future?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
They could.
I mean, if they do, what does that mean for people who get policies today?
Well, as Doug mentioned, they should be grandfathered. I say should because
That's the
government can do
precedent.
anything
right?
they want.
That's the precedent.
This is the president.
Well,
Because
it's not just the precedent, it's the Constitution.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You would actually be going against the Constitution. It would be unconstitutional to pass a law that goes retroactive. That's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Right.
But one of the things, if they change that law, they go back to, because the reason they did that, by the way, is 'cause interest rates were so low. And the law, the way that it was designed to have so much insurance for how much you're putting in, it was based on interest rates back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And when interest rates were rock bottom during COVID, they were really low. So does that tell you interest rates have been up for the last 3 or 4 years?
Right.
Would they change it back? And they haven't. We don't want them to. 'Cause
Right.
These things are so efficient right now and so good. But if they ever changed it, we should be grandfathered, because people that had policy before that are still in the old design.
Yeah.
People have the new design now. So, I mean, yeah. And
So what you're saying, Aaron, is now is the best time.
It really is, right?
Properly structured.
I mean, because
funded IUL.
This law, Brandon, it directly basically benefited the consumer.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It didn't
100%.
benefit the insurance company. It didn't
As a company,
help the
we took,
agent, you know what I mean?
33%.
Yeah, what do we take, Emron?
hit.
we took like a 33% hit.
Yeah,
on our
we took,
revenue.
our
33%
company
hit.
took a 33%.
Yeah.
And
revenue
individual
hit that year.
agents, like the same
Because
policy we're going to sell,
we're
you make
selling-
a third less.
Yeah, we're selling less insurance, so we're a third less the fees, third less the commission. The insurance companies
across
Yeah.
the board.
You know,
but better
everybody.
for the consumer.
And what
Yeah, it's
other
pretty cool.
company or industry would survive that? Like, that's a
Yeah.
huge hit.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Also point out there is precedence, because in 1980, 284, 88, Tefra Tamra tax law, that was upheld, right? People who had created contracts before those were grandfathered.
Well, the other
right?
thing is people worry about if they make these things taxable. Not just changing this little law that you have to have more insurance for how much you're putting in,
Right.
but making them taxable. And if you think about it, all these laws are set in place right now that to have this be justified as life insurance be tax-free, you have to have so much insurance,
Yeah.
put it over so many years. You've already complied with all that. So they change the laws. It makes sense that you'd be grandfathered.
Yeah, 100%.
And new policies wouldn't have to require the insurance or the 5-year funding, with the TAMRA.
Yeah.
Which they've always done with life insurance. Tefra,
Yeah.
Defra, and Tamra.
Exactly.
Policyholders I had before those laws, they didn't have to abide
Precedent.
by those tax laws.
Exactly. All right. Well, coming up, what happens when an IUL is structured incorrectly? But first, just a reminder that if you're enjoying this content and you want to see more of it, please like and subscribe and ask us a question or comment. We may use it in one of our next shows, like we are in this show. How much in taxes will you pay over your lifetime? It's a great question. I've been thinking about this for a while.
Right.
So continuing off kind of from our first segment about life insurance and taxes, I asked Perplexity AI, based on an average taxable income of $100,000, how much will the average person pay in taxes over their lifetime? Anybody want to take a guess? Any guesses?
$1 million.
Okay, Brandon says $1 million.
Too much.
Too much.
Yeah,
Okay.
Too much.
I'll put the over under at too much. Anybody want to take the under? Okay, it says $1 million and too much. All right. Well, it turns out it's a lot. Okay, about $500,000 to $700,000 to be more precise. So, Brandon, you threw out a really big number, but that's not that far off. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Well, this is taken into consideration all Americans, is right? Like,
yeah, the average American. Well, basically,
there's
this
a
is
good percentage that paying into
the input I gave this was an American with $100,000 of taxable income.
Okay.
But for instance, in a 2025 study by Self, the average American, just the average American with the average income, pays about $525,000 in taxes over their lifetime. That equates to about 35% of their lifetime earnings in tax.
Whoa.
Now, if you live in New Jersey, okay, then congratulations, you'll have the highest payout rates of nearly $1 million. There you go, Brandon, over your lifetime.
Almost double.
our founding fathers are just flipping over in the
I
grave
know.
right now, disgusted.
So, congratulations, New Jersey. You win the prize.
Well, New Jersey's got to be an amazing place to live, and I don't know if I'm not to brag on New
Jersey
Jersey.
Shore, you got Coney Island nearby. You got all
But
that
to
fun
clarify, probably a big chunk of it is income tax. But we're talking about FICA and Medicare.
Right. It's
We're
probably
talking about probably sales tax and property tax.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all forms of tax.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, well, okay.
That's a lot of
That's
tax.
a lot of money for
Right.
the average American.
Yeah, now that's interesting. So, Doug, and I was going to go to Emran on this, but what do you think? What do you think these numbers look like, you guys, if we if it was a higher income bracket? If you were a much higher income earner, what do you think these numbers look like?
Oh, you can easily double it. I mean, you see some people, I mean, they're paying at least 50% or more, 50% just in income tax.
Yeah, because if you were to double your income, we have a progressive tax system.
Correct.
So you're going to play much higher on the marginal rate above 100.
Yeah, I mean, you go to the
Or
highest
whatever.
tax bracket right there, you're paying 37%.
Yeah.
Plus, you got to pay another 15% between FICA and Medicare, especially if you're self-employed.
Right.
So that bumps you up above 50% already right there, not even including your property taxes, your sales tax, any and all of those other taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, you're easily getting up to, you could easily approach 60 and maybe even 70%.
Okay, well, Emran, how much should Americans pay in tax over their lifetime?
Well, I mean, I always say, I think I always say if 10% is good enough for God, 10% is good enough for the government.
That's not a bad
Well put.
answer.
Well put.
That's not a bad answer.
Flat tax. I'm all for that.
Yeah, flat
Who's
tax.
a red-blooded American here? We should be paying 50 and 60% in tax.
Hey, and anybody can always pay more than they want in tax. They're welcome to do that.
I think people would be more willing to pay taxes if they agreed with how the government spends it. But we're just
Well,
don't.
that's
We
a very good point.
we just don't agree, and we never will.
What's the approval rate on Congress right now? It's like really bad,
Oh.
you know.
Yeah.
But
Democrat,
I really,
Republican.
I agree with like Emran. I'm telling you, if it was like, even if you make a lot of money, you pay 10%. If you don't make much, you pay 10%. It's just like,
That would be really nice.
yeah.
Oh, it would be, and you can run everything off of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
get rid of all of the unnecessary spending.
Well, because how much do people, myself included, like I was just talking to my son-in-law about this, how much do people spend on just CPA, tax attorney, like trying to navigate the code? A normal person can't do it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So
Right. You have
complex.
to.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so
you have to.
complex.
You know, Greg, I used to do a little exercise with my audiences, and they were mixed, Republican and Democrat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would show them the general categories where the federal government spends tax dollars, but I wouldn't show the percentages. I'd say, now, if you chose how your tax dollars should be spent, put down what percent you would allocate to each of these. They never came close, Republican or Democrat, to the way the government was allocating our tax dollars.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
We don't agree with how the government wastes and allocates our tax dollars.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, any more thoughts on this before we leave this subject? We all good?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating topic, but it's too much is the answer. It's too much tax.
It is. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's why tax-free always sounds so good.
Yeah, and that's okay. So let me come back to you real quick, Aaron, before we leave this subject. What can people do? I mean, what can people do to minimize their taxes?
I mean, everyone always comes to us wanting to minimize tax.
Right.
We have to pay them to some extent. Yes, there's things you can do with your CPA to minimize tax, But I say, after you make your money, let's get it growing tax-free from now on.
Right.
Stop reinvesting in things that you're going to be paying a lot more taxes. Let's get it into an IUL, not all your money, but a good portion where you can grow money without tax, take it out tax-free via the loans, and it will transfer tax-free when you die, income tax-free.
Yeah.
Just amazing, really, why we tout the IUL so much is this helps to solve that issue of paying so much tax.
It's absolutely critical. You've got to pay the taxes on pre-compounding money.
Yeah,
Right.
pay it
Right?
now.
Why in the world are you enjoying the miracle of 93 million, right? Why are
Right.
you enjoying the miracle of compound interest and then giving up all of that to the government?
Right.
Pay on the seed.
Pay
with
it on the
harvest.
seed, not the harvest.
The majority of Americans, I would say, because they continue to pay tax after they stop earning money.
Right.
So a lot of that percentage probably came from age 65 to age 85.
That's a good
Okay.
point.
And so that's why, we recommend that 40 to 60% of your retirement income should not even show up on the front page of your 1040 tax return. It's tax-free. It's not deemed earned passive or portfolio income. The IRS will know you're receiving the money. They know everything.
Yeah.
But it's tax-free. It has been that way, as we've indicated, since 1913.
Yeah. Everybody talks about becoming risk diversified. What about becoming tax diversified?
It's so much more important because taxes will be your largest bill. I mean, we already saw that 35%. I mean, it's going to be your largest, especially in retirement.
Right.
When you retire until the day you die, you got Medicare and stuff like that. Yeah, your medical expenses, but you got insurance to help cover that.
Yeah.
Taxes will be probably your biggest bill if you have money. If you don't have money, okay, I understand that. But if you have money, taxes will be your biggest bill. And if you can reduce, manage, or eliminate that bill, I mean, that means just more money back in your own pocket.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, if you're enjoying this content and you're wondering how to take advantage of these ideas, L.A.S.E.R Financial helps individuals and families like yours implement proven strategies to grow and protect your wealth. One of the most powerful tools is an indexed universal life policy, or IUL. It's not just insurance, it's a tax-free retirement strategy, a way to grow your money with compound interest and a safety net against market downturns. Imagine being protected from market losses while still participating when the market goes up and having tax-free income that allows you to keep more of what you've worked so hard to save. Go to laserfinancial.com or call 801-505-0409 to schedule a free consultation and see how these strategies can work for you. That's laserfinancial.com or call 801-505-0409. Don't wait. Take the first step toward a brighter, more secure financial future today. Are you a financial professional wondering how you can expand your business working with an IUL? Are you leveraging IUL to its full potential? That's where IUL Insiders comes in. In the upcoming weeks, they're hosting the IUL Challenge. It's a free 3-day event designed specifically for financial professionals to help you build a thriving, scalable business that sets you apart from the competition. You'll learn proven strategies to market, design, and sell properly structured. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. Policies that deliver incredible results for your clients and for your bottom line. If you're ready to elevate your practice and scale your business, visit IULchallenge.com/93 to save your seat. Spots are limited, so don't wait. That's IULchallenge.com/93. Take your business to the next level. Question of the day. Are all IULs laser funds? In a YouTube comment from Carl Pierce 3035, he asks, I purchased an IUL a long time ago. It had financial problems and was turned over to a new company. I then started losing money and took the money I had left out.
Oh, I'm so
How
sorry.
does a person protect himself from that kind of situation? Aaron, how would you respond to Carl?
First of all, we're going to talk.
Work with Aaron.
Yeah. Work with me, work with Brandon, work with them. Greg, we can get this done. But anyways, seriously, we can. L.A.S.E.R Financial, we can help you out. But the policy's got to be designed correctly and properly.
Yeah.
So we have to design the policy properly with the right death benefit for the amount you're putting in. You've got to fund the policy as you planned on. And of course, you can make some adjustments down the road. But bottom line, we have to have a policy audit and have it done correctly. You got to be educated. So you get educated on IUL, how it works. That's why we have this podcast, where we have the L.A.S.E.R Fund book. But let's just show the screen here, and I'm going to show you an example of one that is not funded, properly, one that is.
Great.
So right here, let me just take a look at this and show you. So this is an illustration, and this is a policy that was funded with $500,000 in the first 5 years at a 45-year-old. And I just want to look at year 30 just for fun for a minute. So by year 30, notice what's happening to the death benefit, by the way. The death benefit's been going up. Now, why is the death benefit going up, you guys?
Well, they selected option B, or an increasing death benefit.
Well, actually, this one, no. It's just because they have...
because it's like what you said earlier with Doug said after 15 years.
Yeah, you didn't show it. I'm sorry, I wasn't even looking at the
cash
screen.
value.
Yeah,
You're in the 30th year.
We're in the 30th year. We got a death. So right here, we have $2 million at age 72, 28 years into the policy. And our death benefit went from 2.1 went to 2.2. So the reason it went up is because the cash value is so high. It's max funded. It's very efficient. We had to have a little more insurance each year to have this be qualified as life insurance still. It's still life insurance.
Because the cash value is part of the death benefit. So many people think the cash value is separate. No, the cash value, that $2 million is part of the 2.2.
Which is how you want it to be.
Yes.
But that means your risk corridor is low and the cost is lower that way.
It means I own, again, if I own my death benefit versus paying for my death benefit, I own $2 million of the $2.2 million death benefit.
Right. So are you paying for $2.26 million of life insurance at that point?
No.
Nope.
Right?
We're paying for just over $200,000, right?
Yeah.
About
All about the
240.
net risk, right?
And I've got interest on $2 million covering expenses on a policy for $200,000.
Right. Instead of a low cash value, earning a little bit of interest, trying to pay for a giant death benefit.
Yes.
So what's the age of that?
So right here, at this point, if we go all the way to 72, or you could look at year 30, this is year 30, 74, 2.3 in there now, almost $2.5 million in death benefit. So again, let's go down and look at the fees though at this point.
Oh, wow.
So if we look at the charges at that point, let's see here, go back up, excuse me. And here we go. Sorry, here's the charges on year 30. So by year 30, or let's just look at that 72 we were looking at, 28 years into the policy. Scroll over here. Our fees are only $120 and $1,800 for the cost of insurance. So a total of $1,900. And we earned, and this is the conservative 6.3% we can show by law. Returns have been higher, can be 0, yes, but 6.3 is what we can show as far as an illustration. So we got $2 million in there. This doesn't show the death benefit on this example, but $2 million, and that little bit of insurance we had, about $240,000 of insurance.
Wow.
It's costing only $1,900. And we had $130,000 of tax-free gains helping to cover that.
That's what people.
My client had a $2 million policy this year, made about just about $300,000, more than double that. They made They didn't make six, but 100. They made that almost the exact same cash value. They made $300,000 this year
instead of $130,000,
and their fees are only still like that $1,900.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was saying, I think what confuses people is when they look at this, they think, I have $2.4 million of death benefit. I'm being covered by the insurance company. If that were the case, at 72 years old, that cost would be astronomical, right?
Right, yeah, right.
So I think that quarter, what Emran said, people don't realize, no, you own like 2.1 million or 2.2 million of that death benefit. That's your cash. That's your money.
Self-insured.
Self-insured,
So the fees are about $2,000. The account value is about $2 million. What's 1%? What would be a 1% fee on $2 million? So if it was like an asset managed fund or something.
Yeah, if you had an asset manager in 1% fee, you'd be paying about $20,000 in charges, let alone.
Wow.
No wonder your financial advisor doesn't want you to move your money to an IUL. They're making $20,000 on your money versus over here you're paying less than $2,000.
Ding, ding, ding.
Look at that difference in fees. Now,
0.1%. That's less than 0.1%.
It's 0.1%. Yeah, less.
And yes, the IUL, the charges were more in the beginning, less later on.
That's a fair point.
But this policy was designed probably has a 0.5% average fees over the life of the contract.
Yeah.
But right here, you look at this example and $130,000 of interest. Also, if that wasn't with your brokerage account, you'd pay taxes on that $130,000.
Right. If it was taxable.
So we'd pay depending on your tax bracket, what we'd be paying there. We'd be paying 20, 30, 40 grand in taxes, depending on what it was.
And the snapshot you've taken in that year The insurance is 1/10. The insurance is getting cheaper as you get older. And when I say that, people say, I've never seen an insurance policy that gets cheaper as you get older. Well, here's one right here.
Especially in comparison with all the overall values and percentages.
And here it goes up a little bit each year, but it's like, it's going down here, but it's like you got more money in there. You got $3 million
back to that. You go back right to where it was $2 million. 1% of that is $20,000. Down here, it's $4 million. So the management fee would go up to $40,000. So an average of $30,000 in fees during those 12 years right there. You're paying over $300,000 in fees in just those 10 years.
Wow.
And you paid a total of $178 from day one in this one.
Yeah, comparing to a hypothetical like asset account with the 1%.
Which one do I sleep better at night when the market crashes?
Yeah, that's a good point too.
That 10-year period.
Indexing, right?
Yeah, you don't
guarantee floor 0. I know what those fixed costs are. Look at those. I can stomach that easily. Yeah. Right. But if the market crashes and my $2 million goes to $1 million,
that's scary.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
These gains you're seeing here are locked in every year.
So if the market crashes
Carl,
at
I
any
hope
point,
you're not getting upset that this is what we wanted you to experience.
Right.
Sorry you experienced what you did experience.
Yes.
Let's show the other one though.
Oh yeah. So that was structured correctly.
Here's an example of someone putting in $100,000 the first year and not putting any more in. So they didn't maximum fund it. It wasn't designed correctly. So this one, by year 30 now, we only have $105,000 in the policy. The surrender value is the same number. And our death benefit's $1.6 million.
Wow.
So how much insurance are we paying for now?
Over 30 years, I made $5,000.
Yeah, that's bad. And so there's a net $1.5 million of insurance, right? Because $100,000 is your own money, and you've got a $1.6 million death benefit.
So about $1.5 million of insurance risk. We'll see what that's cost. So that's why the account's barely growing because we're just
terrible.
But then
terrible.
Why does it start to run out here?
Because the fees go up.
Yeah.
Let's look at the fees. Let's go down and look.
Because you're paying for more insurance.
You're still paying for $1.6 million in life insurance.
Yep.
Yeah. So you go to year 30. So look at this by year 21 and by year 30. This is when they're designed wrong, you guys. And this is just looking at this point. You can see that the fees now went from 5,000, 6, 7. They are getting older. It is getting more expensive now because they didn't design it right.
They're still paying for all that risk, right? They're paying for death benefit, not owning death benefit.
They bought a 5-story building and they leased out 1 floor and they left the other 4 floors vacant and they had all that overhead expense and costs and they never maxed it out.
So Brandon, this gets to the heart of the question. Are all IULs laser funds?
No.
Okay. So what does that mean to be a laser fund? Kind of more on what you were just saying.
Properly structured policy where you max fund. So that's like if you have a policy, you can look up what your 7-pay premium is. We call it TAMRA. So TAMRA law is the max you can put in per year, but you should know what that number is. And if you are hitting that number and you probably have a properly structured policy. Now, it's rare that most people are doing that. They don't even know what they're saying.
Well, not just 1 year put that in. Guess what? This one is on the screen. They did that, but only 1 year.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so each year, if you're hitting that, then there's a guideline single premium. That's the bucket size.
That's the ultimate goal.
That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
That's the
and if you have
ultimate
a
goal.
level death benefit, you'll typically hit that right around year 5. If you're young, it might be 4 years. If you're older, 6 years, but it's right around 5 years. And that is a true max funded IUL. Right.
Well, we should look at Emran's auditor. He's got an audit. You actually, exactly what Brandon is answering, you can get your policy audited by us and we could see if it is max funded.
That's a great point because we want to talk. A lot of people are listening and they're going to go, okay, well, what do I do? Right. So if you have an existing policy, stay tuned. We're going to talk about exactly what you can do to get it audited. So Emran, do you want to show this though?
Yeah, if we want to look at it, we can.
So let's go back to the whiteboard. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So, I mean, what you're looking at here is, sorry, let me pick that up. We've got the ability, and this is a simple calculator, simple piece of software that can come in, and you can actually enter in your information in right here. Sorry, I can't quite get that to. Is that clicking? There it is.
There we go.
Okay, so it comes up right there. It's blank right there, and like Aaron showed you, these are actually the exact cases Aaron was just showing. So when I put it up, this one right here, like Brandon said, this one you can see bucket proficiency it's in red. Because it's underfunded, it's at 20%. So you've again, like a 5-story office building, you only got 20% of the building leased out. That is of a concern. Do you know a landlord that intentionally leaves his building 80% vacant?
No, they
Why
won't.
would you?
That would be. That
But
would
that's
be bad.
exactly what this client. That's exactly what this client has been led to do. Again, I don't think that was the client's intention, but how this was structured was so that you were only ever going to lease out just 20% of the building. Now, when you lease out 100% of the building, you come right in here and you can see exactly where you're landing. Are you at it's about creating proficiency, efficiency, and proficiency.
Yeah.
You want to be, obviously, if I want to be as profitable as possible, I want to be 100% proficient in my asset. And this is an asset. So you want to have that 100. I want to score 100% on my exam. I don't want to score 20% on my exam. And the great thing is you can come right in. You can come right in. We can audit. We can audit any policy you've got. You got a policy, we'll audit it for you. Let you know where you're at, and let you know where you need to go.
What do they need to audit it? What would they need to give you?
So basically, we can come in and look at what we're going to need right here on this page right here. It kind of summarizes it. I need to know how much money have you put into that policy? The total, what I like to call total premiums paid to date.
From when you bought it till today.
Yeah.
Right. And I need the date of the policy. When did you buy that policy? The date of that policy, every premium, all the premiums that you paid in that. You can call the insurance company and get all of this information.
Yeah.
Yep.
Including any 1035 exchanges. Then you need to know I then need to know, ideally, the guideline single premium, the guideline level premium, and you can throw in the TAM or 7-pay premium. That's extra. That's great. But I really need to know the guideline single premium, the guideline level premium to give you a really good audit. And then whether it's a level death benefit or an increasing death benefit. And if you don't know which one that is, don't worry. If you give me those numbers, I can tell you whether or not it's an increasing or level death benefit.
Yeah.
So how do they reach out to have an audit done?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about right here. So if you're wondering how you can get a policy audit or you'd like more information, visit L.A.S.E.R.financial.com to learn more. So that's where you would go, is L.A.S.E.R.financial.com, or you could call 801-505-0409. But we have L.A.S.E.R. Financial IUL specialists that specialize in this, right, Aaron?
We, Brent and I, many of us in our firm, we audit policies all the time and look and tell clients, hey, that one looks great. It's designed correctly, or nope, we need to do this to it.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do, or this is what we can do to help you. So yeah, we audit policies all the time.
Doug, final word on this segment.
Yeah, this is so crucial. There are people who wait too long, like the example that you showed here, and they kick themselves because they didn't know that their policy was not designed correctly, that it wasn't funded. They only leased out 20% of the building, so to speak. And the sooner we find out by doing an audit, the faster we can make corrections and getting you on track to having a proficient policy that is earning an internal rate of return to accomplish the goals that you set it up for in the first place.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well said. Also, if you're a financial professional and you'd like to learn how to audit policies for your clients and make sure they're structured correctly, attend our 3-day IUL challenge. Visit IULchallenge.com/93 to start that important journey. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Be safe out there, and we will see you next time on 93 Million. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.